stable smelled of damp straw and iron, the kind of air heavy with sweat, horse musk, and the sharp tang of oil from lanterns that swung against the wooden beams. Their glow threw jagged shadows along the walls, catching on the dust that drifted lazily through the shafts of light. The place was cramped and close, the silence between the men broken only by the shuffle of hooves outside and the muffled crackle of rain against the roof. Al stood at the front, one hand lifted as if holding back the weight of the room. His voice carried low and urgent, each word marked by concern, though his eyes darted between his comrades with the strain of a man trying to keep the tide from breaking. Derek stood off to his side, a rock in the shifting storm. The rifle in his grip was steady, his jaw set like stone, his eyes burned with determination, fixed on some unseen horizon, and he looked every inch the frontiersman who had carved his life out of hardship and intended to hold it against any foe. Joel paced a half-step behind them, tiger pelt slung over his shoulder, his sabers catching the lantern light. His mouth was a snarl more than a scowl, anger simmering hot enough to fill the space where words failed. He was the storm waiting to break, his fury barely tethered to discipline. Schitty stood apart, head bowed, sword planted before him as if it were both weapon and altar. His lips moved in silent prayer, eyes closed, the faintest flicker of peace on his face amidst the tension. In the wavering light, he seemed carved from something older than stone, a figure of faith holding vigil against the chaos pressing at the stable walls. Together, they were a tableau of conflict and resolve, concern, fury, faith, and determination, drawn tight under the weight of war, bound together by necessity, their unity forged in the shadow of the Confederation's rising schemes. Al's hand struck the air, knuckles whitening against the lantern light. "I'm telling you," he said, voice low and urgent. "I have a reliable source. Tony's column is heading for Columbus." Derek's eyes went hard as flint. "Then it begins," he said. "They have no idea what wrath feels like yet." Al nodded once, grim. "That's not all. Remember Jason? The scout from that run to Cheyenne all those years back? He's leading a force toward Louisiana." Joel stepped forward, muscles coiled, the tiger pelt rustling at his shoulder. He spat the words out like a blade, Cajun cadence thick and rough. "De moment they step across the Pearl, bam, I'll spring on 'em. I'll gut the road and send 'em running back to de mothers. Dey gon' regret comin' down this way." Chair Schitty's head bowed. His hands closed around the pommel of his sword. He did not shout, but his voice filled the rafters all the same. "May God have mercy on their souls," he intoned, slow and steady. "They will find no respite from us." Al pulled them back to the grim business at hand. "All right, men. I will keep an eye on that monster Rob. I will head south the moment Kevin moves his troops. Be ready. We strike quick. We strike true." They fell into a tense silence, each man turning the plan over in his head, while the rain whispered against the stable roof and the horses stamped in the dark beyond the stalls.